Welcome everybody to my presentation on an introduction to cooperative work-based learning programs. And thank you, Dylan, for filming for me today, and Shanna for helping with the turning of the slides. And go right ahead. Next slide. What is a cooperative work-based learning program? It's formalized learning with instruction occurring at school and community-based. So it meets those two components. And it is a collaborative effort between a group of people, the student, parents, and businesses in the school. And it engages students in a real-life learning experience and activities. The two components that I talked about, the school portion takes place in the school. That is the seminar class. And that's where we teach students information about going out on the work site. We teach them about time cards and resumes and information that they would need in order to get a job. And the second part is actually exploring careers. And that allows students to go out into the community and they can identify different things they're interested in and spend some time in that community setting. The cooperative work-based learning experience gives students a lot of opportunities. It helps them to build some career awareness, helps them explore careers, develop their critical thinking skills, and their problem-solving skills as well. Some of the experiences in a cooperative work-based learning program include activities, non-paid experiences, and paid experiences. Some examples of activities that would be considered part of a cooperative work-based learning program would be tours of different businesses, doing some job shadowing, finding out what goes on in a different setting, doing some mentoring, entrepreneurships, cooperative education, doing an internship. One of my students right now is doing an internship, and paid youth apprenticeships. And those have a requirement of a certain amount of hours. That's based on a federal law. Some examples of non-paid experiences, you'll notice that there's some overlapping of these. We have worksite field trips, the job shadowing again, the career mentorship, service learning, and school-based youth entrepreneurship. Service learning, we have a program here at school for service learning. It isn't just volunteering, but it's actually processing that whole situation that you've helped out in and how you've learned from it. So I see it as more not just giving of yourself, but learning from that program as well. And then examples of paid experiences might be a youth entrepreneurship, a paid internship, cooperative work experience, and youth apprentices. Sometimes we have students who learn on the job. That would be an example of the youth apprenticeship. They actually go out into a business and they learn on-the-job training. Partnerships in the cooperative work-based learning program include the coordinator, the student, parents, employers, and a school administrator. And a successful program would also form an advisory committee, and that advisory committee is made up of people who would work together collaboratively. It helps you to meet local needs, offer occupational learning and career exposure activities to get you exposed to different careers in the community. Some of the members of this committee, it really varies. There really wouldn't be anything that any member of the community or school-based program that could not belong, but we might look at a number of these different ones. We have the core group of people who are, of course, involved in the cooperative work-based learning program. But we'd also perhaps maybe involve some civic organizations, some of the post-secondary educators, employers. One of the ones that I like to think about is volunteer programs or those programs that are nonprofits, because they can often provide a lot of experiences for our kids that would be really helpful. And they often don't have a lot of funding, so they would really be oftentimes very receptive to having students come into their programs. And when you have a work-based learning program, you really have to be careful with your paperwork. You have to have things in order. It isn't just a situation where someone goes in and starts working. You have to have some things in place, like a training agreement. You have the student document hours, which is great because it's like a precursor to keeping a time card. We evaluate students as they go along, statements of assurances and observation reports, and then also the safety instruction. That needs to be both school-based and in the seminar class and also on the work site. Addressing some employer concerns. Sometimes employers are a little hesitant to get involved in a work-based learning program. Some of the concerns that they're maybe nervous about would be the safety instruction, and again, that is a shared responsibility between the school and the work site, because each work site might have different things that you'd have to think about as far as safety goes. Employers do have to provide accommodations to students who have disabilities. That's as effect of the ADA. And then also they have to be financially responsible if the individual is directly employed for them. One thing about the accommodations is that studies have shown that the average cost of an accommodation is around $200. So it's not as much as many employers might think it would be. A few other concerns. Schools do carry insurance so that when students are out on the site, they are protected. Also, if the employers come into the school building, they are covered under that same insurance to have meetings or discuss information about the students. And the students are protected during their transport from work and to and so on. Addressing some more employer concerns is that employers do carry insurance. It protects their employees, their business, and then also people who are temporarily on their site, so that would include some of those students as well, because they carry that for anyone who comes onto their site. And one thing to address is the workman's comp. If you are in a paid experience, you would be covered under workman's comp. If you're in unpaid, you of course would not be covered under workman's comp. And the school district again covers you usually under your liability insurance. The training agreements are the piece I talked about that are very important parts. They are between the school, the student, parent, employer, and they're very clearly stated as far as what's expected. And they outline learning for that specific student, and they do require signatures from the entire team. And this would be examples of what they might look like. In between here you would have wording that would be describing for each student. This would be general information that you could include, and then this is the signature part. The training agreements are very important. They should be very clearly stated, and again specific for each student, and they do require those signatures. The benefits. We've talked about some concerns. The last little bit that I have to present to you are the benefits for an employer. They help to make connections between possible future employees, and students who are in that setting, they're much better employed than someone who's never participated in that type of a program. And the employer receives low or no cost labor. Also, looking at reviewing their performance helps people have that feedback so that they can learn how to be a better employee. And many companies look at that student and they say, you know what, that student did such a great job, I think that maybe we'll consider hiring them when we have the job that comes available. In summary, cooperative work-based learning is a win-win for all those involved, including students, instructors, and employers. And when it's executed properly, it can become an important bridge for students from classroom learning into fulfilling world of work. So when it's done right, it's a win-win for everybody. And thank you for coming to my presentation. I really appreciate it.